Good afternoon, and welcome to my living room. We want to just do a few videos to kick off core path strategies and what we are actually doing for you and our community and how we're doing it. And so I just got off the phone with one of my coaches, and she asked me an interesting question. She asked me if I'd given any thought to our origin story. And I understand origin stories. I understand the power of an origin story, but honestly, my first concern was where actually to start. And at first, by impulse, I wanted to go back to the date of my new birth. So I've been introduced to Jesus Christ and I've experienced Christ, but uh, I feel like the origin story, particularly for Core Path, was a little later than that. And so I was a teenager, I was still a teenager. I had just started a summer seminary training program for young men who had an interest in ministry. And I had the opportunity to participate in a few days of training, and guest speakers were brought in. One of the guest speakers was an author and speaker that at this point I had never heard of. And you have to keep in mind, at this time, there was no such thing as social media, and the internet was just budding. So I had no idea of the renown or the fame of the man that I was meeting. I came in, all of the youth that were there for this training, we were assigned seating at the very front. This was an intense day of training. There had been prayer, there had been worship, there had been preaching, and there had been response. So my eyes were puffy and red. I had been crying and praying with my peers in the altar. And Zig Ziglar came to the stage. And he taught and spoke to us really for only a few moments. And I sat there literally in awe at this man. When his presentation was over, we all had the opportunity to go to the back and to shake his hand. And I did. He looked me in the eye and he said, "Young man, the pain that you're experiencing someday will be a gift that could change the world." That hit me, but it didn't really resonate with me until we got to the table. And when we got to the table, he was signing books, and some were purchasing books. I just didn't have the additional cash in hand to purchase a book. He reached across the table and he grabbed one that had obviously been on display for some time. He opened the cover and he signed it and handed it to me. And this book, second only to my Bible, became a treasure. And I wish I could find it. I actually wanted to display it here, but it's been tucked away somewhere in storage. And the title of the book was "See You at the Top." And when he handed it to me, he specifically said, "I believe I will see you at the top." I read that book cover to cover. I can't even tell you how many times. I read just about everything else I believe that the man ever wrote. But what really resonated with me then and through time was what he said on the platform. He talked about on the platform our innate value and our innate worth and the worth of human beings. And at this point, one of my core values was born. A core value that would continue to grow in me and would continue to resonate with me. And that core value is the value of all people. And more importantly, at that moment in time, the value that existed within me. And I didn't know it, but that value was the total sum of my experiences, including the pain, the healing, failures, mistakes, victories, successes. Children would be born, eventually grandchildren, and I would grow through all of it. and I would become a person of tremendously more wealth in many years to come than what I was at that time, that 17-year-old probably. I don't know the exact age, but probably about 17 years old. And today, a person that has the confidence that I can add value to nearly anyone I have a conversation with because of the value that exists within me. And that's exactly what we do at Core Path Strategies. We, one, want to help individuals identify their unique value as an individual. We want to sharpen their vision and build their vision for their future based on that value, that worth. What is it that makes you of unique value as an individual, and how does that translate into solutions for your customers, your community, the people in your life, and the people around you? How do we sharpen that value? And when you really live out of that center, that anchor, that core of values, worth, and the potential to add value to others, you become powerful. And so that's really what we do. We sharpen that sense of worth. We sharpen that sense of value. So my origin story started as a teenager, and really today I think we've distilled this down. We've partnered with the Maxwell leadership team. John Maxwell is another prolific writer and leader who has influenced my life through the years and impacted my life. And the one thing that I learned early on is that your pain will result in healing. And that pain, that healing, that experience becomes a unique value that you can pass on if you'll commit to lifelong learning, continuing to grow yourself, and continuing to invest in others and grow others. And so at Core Path Strategies, we want to invite you to come along. Whether you come along in a coaching relationship, or you come along bringing us into your team to train, or you come along simply visiting some of our communities and connecting with our communities and learning and growing just a step at a time. Really, how you come into the community and how you join us is insignificant at this point. We just want you to come along and help us identify value, create value, and share that value with others.